Unmute. Unmute the mic. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. How's everybody doing? Thank you, and thank you. How's everybody doing? Monday, December 2nd of the year 2024, still for everyone that is watching. Good afternoon to all of you. Now, the breaking news is it's not that a caravan left the south border. The breaking news, it is that the authorities of Mexico try to stop it. That is the breaking news. The breaking news is not that another caravan left. We have walked and documented 12 of them. 12 caravans I've documented and walked. That's a lot of them. That's not the breaking news. The breaking news is that the authorities of Mexico are trying to decrease, trying to stop, and also they are trying inevitably to make them think that what they're doing, it is illicit, it is bad, they're risking their children on the road, and they are also not only doing that, but it is dangerous for their lives. I don't know how many, we have been doing this. I have been documenting this for the longest of time. But a lot of us, we have been waiting for this moment. A lot of us, we have been waiting for this moment, for the moment that the Mexican authorities, I have seen so many of these caravans that they have been trying to stop them from advancing, and confrontations, bad confrontations with the National Guard. Man, I've seen this, where they have thrown rocks at them, where they have tried to hurt them, try to, do all these horrible things to the Mexican authorities. And the Mexican authorities have dealt with that. Even it is not their fault. It is these open border policies by the Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration. First and foremost, before I move on, give it a like to the video, share the video, like the video, share the video, please. Like the video, share the video, like the video, please. Again, like the video, share the video. Now, we are going to move forward. We're going to move forward right now. But first and foremost, I want to show you a video. And let me extract this video from here for you guys to see it. I'm going to try to find it right now. As I just recently passed it over here. But I want to explain every single thing, how the Mexican authorities have right now are trying to do. The past caravans, which this is the seventh one by now, that it has left the south border. Now, what has happened in the past caravans, I have reported the Mexican authorities are trying to do their best to decrease this level of influx and to decrease ultimately of the migrants arriving and moving forward. That has been the number one purpose. Trying to find this video. Bear with me, people. Trying to find this video. Here we go. So I want to show first and foremost this. This is the Mexican authorities today. This is the Mexican authorities today. But first and foremost, I want you to see how this caravan that potentially, this is clip number one. This is clip number two. This is clip number one right here. So you see this caravan that is leaving, 1,500 migrants leaving again today. They left early in the morning because the Mexican authorities were kicking them out from the Bicentenario Park. This is where they launched the majority of the caravans. The name is Bicentenario Park. And the Mexican authorities arrived over there and they moved them out. They said, you got to move out. So they started, walking around 3 o'clock in the morning. And the strategy of the Mexican authorities has always been in caravans in the past, when they have tried to stop them, is to make them walk and make them get tired. And as soon as they get tired and as soon as they start walking, then later on they do these operations and they try to stop them. How do they do these operations? They send these vehicles, these vans, these, you know, these lawn vehicles, white lawn vehicles. And inside of them, you will have a lot of border agents. They will come out of the van and they will approach the migrant and tell them, hey, you know what? Do you have a document? Do you have the document that it permits you to walk freely from the south to the north? And they will tell you, no, I don't. So I cannot let you walk. And that it is how it starts decreasing. On the 5th of November, I walked a caravan on election day. That got decreased. And it got split in two. Now this one also already has decreased and it's already split in two. Some of them, they stayed and slept the night. Some of them, they're already negotiating with the authorities. Some of them got stopped. Some of them are already walking to the north borders. That it's going to take them 3 to 4 weeks for them to get there. This is the Trump effect. Now, a lot of the people are saying, no, the Mexican authorities are not doing anything. Well, they are, and they have been doing so, but it is inevitable when you are the person in charge is a globalist, or the person in charge is saying, continue with it, or you're not getting pressured by a tariff of 25% now. It is completely different when you're getting threatened by a tariff of 25%. So, this is how it looks. And this is how they have been doing their operations. This is the Mexican authorities on the side, on the highway, approaching the migrants and basically letting them know, why are you walking? Now, there's a really curious thing about this video. Let me just tell you how curious it is, because there's a lot of speculation right now on X. There's this adult pushing a stroller with a child in there, but there's a lady on the side that I believe that is his wife. And he leaves the stroller and continues to walk. And the authorities take the stroller, and the wife, I believe so, she gets into the unit later on in front of them, and they return back. And a lot of them, they were saying, hey, what happened to the stroller? Why the stroller? He left it right there. It is because he didn't want to push it anymore. So that intends to happen a lot in caravans. So watch this video. Authorities now acting. The Mexican authorities are now acting. Now, I'm going to speak about the Trump effect. And the Trump effect, it is, look at this video. Now, I want you to see this video. Let me pause this video, and I will let you understand. This is a gentleman. This is the adult. He's pushing a stroller. On the stroller, there's a child. The Mexican authorities are approaching. Now, this is a thing that I'm loving now, by the fact that the Mexican authorities are approaching the adults that they're pushing strollers. Why? Because a lot of these adults, they're pushing childs and children that they're not their children. And now they are approaching them to see if they seem nervous. It's one of the strategies of the Mexican authorities to approach you. They're really intelligent on that, to approach you and see if you're acting nervous. And if you look fishy, and if they see that kind of attitude, then they will start acting different. But this is what happened. Now, let me just crank the volume up so you can understand what it is, the approach of the Mexican official, and what is he saying to him. Now, before I go to the video, this is the Trump effect, the threat of a tariff that it was going to be implemented, but it was not. Donald Trump had a wonderful conversation with the Mexican president, which I say that was greatly phenomenal, the way that he put it out there, because now you have a dialogue. And a lot of American networks are saying, Mexico, just bow down. And that sounds really like I'm your boss or I'm your daddy kind of stuff. And it was not like that. It was a negotiation, because all of these consequences have been on the Biden administration. It hasn't been on the Trump administration. So you don't want to be fighting, I will put a tariff and then I will put a tariff to you and let's see who's tougher. Like, That's not going to lead nowhere. It was a negotiation with both countries that they not only see that this is a problem, but they also see the contamination of fentanyl into the United States of America. That is also a big problem. That is a bilateral problem between the United States and Mexico. I will explain that if people want me to explain that. But before I move on, this is the Mexican authorities decreasing the migrants, approaching the migrants and telling them, you know what? You're doing things wrong. Do you have your documents? And I will elaborate and translate what the migrant is saying and what the border agent is saying. Now, this was a massive convoy. It was around 20 agents that they were spread all over the highway and the south border. Give it a like to the video, share the video. Come on, people. I got like 800 people and I only got like 70 likes. You got to be kidding me with this. Buy me a coffee is pinned in the chat on YouTube for people that want to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund. Let's see the video right here. No. I won't stop. You guys took me one time and detained me, and you had me for 48 hours in the detention center. Let us continue, please. Let us continue to walk, please. Please, let us continue to walk. Then the agent speaks and says, do you have any document that validates your regular stay in our country of Mexico? No, somebody told us to go over there and to go over here and to go over there. Do you have any document that proves your legal stay in the country of Mexico? Do you have any document that proves that your regular stay in the country of Mexico? You were the same ones that told me I cannot go back there because there was going to be a long process. You know, that's why I decided to walk. We are asking you if you have a regular document for you to walk on the country of Mexico. Again, the agent repeats, do you have a regular document that you can provide to us that makes you walk freely in Mexico? Nobody told us that we couldn't walk. Nobody told us about that. Now, see how he has a child on the stroller. And now he's saying, please collaborate with us. Please collaborate with us. The agent is stepping in the front of the stroller. That means that he doesn't want him to continue to walk. Please let us continue to walk. I'm advising you, go back. Go back, please. Go back. I'm advising you to go back. No, I'm not returning back because you just told me that if I go back, I'm going to be detained. Do you have any document? The female agent says, again, do you have any document that shows me that you are regular in the country of Mexico? Apparently, that lady that just came in, it is his wife of the migrant. No, we don't have any. You cannot stop us. You cannot stop us. We're just walking. I advise you to go back and get the document so you can walk. Okay, if you can go back there, please, to the agent and talk to the agent back there in the unit. You know, we will get you so you can get your document. No, we don't want to stop. No, we're not stopping. The immigration law, please respect the law of the immigrants. Please go back and do your process. If you can go over there, please. So this video, on the past video that I posted on X, you don't see the woman picking up the child. The woman picks up the child, takes the child. Please let us pass. So now they're telling her, do not let her pass. She's going to go on the other side, but get her on a unit. That's what they're saying. Respect the immigration laws, please. They're telling the migrant. Do you have a document that proves your regular stay in the country of Mexico? Again, they tell him that to the migrant. If she wants to leave the stroller right here, let her leave the stroller. I'm just going to continue to walk. One agent says you're going to get stopped further if you keep walking. This was the operation that it was done today in the morning as they were trying to decrease the caravan that it was moving forward into the north. So this was an operation that it was done. Now, when did we saw this? Back in 2019, we saw this on the Trump administration. I saw it. One caravan that it was a huge confrontation between the National Guard in Mexico. Also, we National Guard and the migrants. We saw this, and also we saw this on after COVID. We saw it a lot. Confrontations when Joe Biden became president. Confrontations on 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Then we saw, we're seeing it again. Now we're going back to where the Mexican authorities, now they are trying to decrease. Now, I will tell you, there was no violation right here for people that they are defenders of human rights. There's not a violation right here. They're asking the migrant if he has a regular document that he can show that permits him to be walking freely, legally documented in the country of Mexico, which he denies to show. Why? Because he doesn't have it. The only thing that he has possibly it is his ID from his country. Possibly he has his ID from his country, or possibly he has some other identification from whatever country he's coming from. And this is an actual thing that the authorities now they're doing. The Mexican authorities now they're having the power again to try to decrease the caravans, try to stop the caravans, trying to put an example that the caravans shouldn't be existing and shouldn't be walking on the side of this highway. Now, this highway, I have seen and I have been present where migrants have been run over by automobiles. Also, migrants have been abused. Migrants have been robbed and stolen from criminals that they are also infiltrated in the middle of the caravan. Now, it is not a thing that it's just recently happening. It is a thing that has been happening in the past. This is the Trump effect. Now, let us go in dialogue about the Trump effect. The Trump effect has been caused, and the number one reason why it has been caused, it is because Trump has started to speak about putting a threat of a tariff into the country of Mexico of 25%. And as he started speaking about it, it started catching some noise in Mexico. First, it started, little by little, intensively growing. And people started acknowledging that it can be a reality. And that it can be a reality by understanding that this also can happen. And they can put a threat of a tariff into the most important things, that is the automobile industry, that Mexico has the biggest manufacturing companies from 80 years. So the Mexican president responded, it's not going to go, this way. I will put a threat of a tariff, and then you will put one, and it is not going to go this way. We need to sit down in dialogue with each other. So apparently they sat down and they had a huge dialogue. And after that, the president of the United States of America, the elected president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, tweeted, "I just had a wonderful meeting with the new president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, which she agreed that she's going to decrease the irregular crossings and massive arrival of immigrants and caravans into the country of Mexico, into the United States." And also, he quoted, not only he said, we're going to start educating our people on the use of fentanyl. This educating our people on the use of fentanyl, this doesn't come directly from Trump. This comes directly from the Mexican president. Why? The Mexican president, the past president, and the past president, Enrique Peña Nieto, they all have intensively said the United States of America does not have educational programs to basically educate the young and the youth of America to know what are the consequences of synthetic drugs and fentanyl. And also, they don't have rehab centers. They don't have programs. They don't have nothing that is credible to say, hey, I'm trying to do something about educating the people of how this is a huge problem in contamination, because that is the actual genocide that it is actually happening inside of the United States of America. The actual genocide that is happening in the United States of America, it is fentanyl itself. Fentanyl, it is basically killing more than 107,000 Americans inside of the United States of America. Now, let us just see. First and foremost, what is the actual problem? Now, this is a collateral effect. Okay, now the caravans are going to decrease immediately. They are. And it is already showing now that the authorities are having now the audacity to go out there and to say, you know what, I'm going to try to stop it. When before, I used to walk in a caravan and nobody was stopping them. They used to walk all the way. They were infiltrated coyotes, infiltrated traffickers, infiltrated of everything. Infiltrated of everything. They were in the middle of all of it. Now, this is the situation now. Now you have Mexican authorities approaching the migrants, and that is the actual situation. Now, somebody's saying we do have education and rehabilitation for free. Well, apparently it is not working, because you have 107,000 Americans dying without knowing the consequences of fentanyl. Somebody's saying that, and I'm not wishing you to put on the stop, but your educational programs and your rehab programs are not working. And we need to understand that this is a bilateral problem. Why is it a bilateral problem? Now, a lot of the people need to understand how it is fentanyl being trafficked into the United States of America. Is it being trafficked, through non-ports of entry? Is it being trafficked to open border gaps where they are, where there's no wall? Is it being trafficked where, you are basically, through other pedestrian port of entries? No. Fentanyl, the majority and the tons of fentanyl, it is being trafficked to vehicle ports of entry. And, and the majority that they are being stopped and being detained, who they are trafficking fentanyl into the United States of America. Don't fact check me. Go over there and do whatever you had to do with your research. 87% of the people that they are trafficking fentanyl into the United States of America through vehicle ports of entry are U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens. So it is a huge, huge, huge problem. Huge problem. And also, on the past 4 years, on the Biden administration, that they did not dedicate themselves to completely dissolve the organized crime that is massively distributing inside of the United States of America, the mafias, the corruption of distributing, fentanyl freely inside of the United States of America. the enormous distribution in schools, the enormous entrance of fentanyl through non-ports of entry, the enormous distribution in borders of fentanyl. The United States of America is the number one buyer of synthetic drugs. What it means, number one buyer of fentanyl, number one buyer of cocaine, number one buyer of child pornography, number one buyer of child, child trafficking. You see that more than 300,000 children are lost. So it is a reality. It is the number one that has an addiction through fentanyl in the world. And the sad thing about it, that it is the number one distributor of artillery and guns from the country illicitly into the cartel in Mexico. And ultimately, the cartel has one currency, which they are rich, and it is the dollar. So the dollar comes out of the ports of entry, out of the ports of exit from the United States into Mexico. Is it a bilateral problem? Yes, we have a bilateral problem. Now, watch out. This is the situation to the Mexican president. You're telling the American people, or you're telling the American president, or you're telling the United States president, this is a bilateral problem. You fix your problem, I'll fix mine, and we work together. Can we do that? And Donald Trump said, I just had a wonderful conversation with her. So possibly that was the agreement. Now, watch out. Why? Because if Donald Trump and the Trump administration with Tom Homan and all the people that he's bringing across starts decreasing the massive arrival, the tensions, starts dissolving organized rings and organized crime, starts finding the children, the missing children, starts knowing these NGOs, how they were in cahoots with the cartel, starts auditing and starts prosecuting people that they were involved with the distribution of illicit activity and trafficking of children and trafficking and exploitation of women. When they start doing that, they're going to look at you and tell you, hey, I'm doing my job. What are you doing right now with the cartel? Are you actually decreasing the arrival of synthetic drugs into my country? Are you actually stopping it? Are you actually dissolving your organized crime? Are you actually going at it with the cartel to trying to stop it and trying to eradicate these terrorists who are contaminating your country? That is the consequence of risking and not only challenging the president of the United States of America, but also telling him, you know what, I'm going to do my part, but I want to see, what are you going to do on your hand? And when that happens, I would like to see the reaction of the Mexican president, because there's a thing about challenging, and there's a thing about challenging and stepping up into a first-class world country, which is the United States of America, and telling them, hey, we have a bilateral problem, which is a reality. We have a bilateral problem. The bilateral problem with illicit and illegal migration, it is the Biden administration opened up the doors with this global compact of migration, giving the power of the borders to the UN and also to all these proxies and all these people, NGOs, and making it look like entering to the United States of America was out of necessity, asylum and refugee, when you have a potential massive arrival of an influx through non-ports of entry of people that they are economical migrants, not asylees, the majority, and refugees. When you have that problem and you get out of it, I'll get out of the global compact. How is Mexico going to do it when Mexico already has in their constitution, they already reformed Article 11 of the Constitution for them to walk freely? I don't know how they're going to do it. So this is the thing. The American policies do not align with globalist policies. Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, the Mexican president of the of Mexico, she aligns with the Agenda 2030. Donald Trump does not align with the Agenda 2030. Is it going to be a confrontation? No, it's not. Whether it is the problems that they are interfering with both countries, are they going to be resolved? Hopefully, yes. That is the illicit and illegal entry into the United States of America of fentanyl. That potentially it is going to be decreasing. We're going to see that. And also we are going to see that is going to decrease the caravans, as we're seeing right now. The Mexican authorities, decreasing the arrival, stopping the arrival, and also trying to decrease the arrival of this massive caravans into the north. And this is not even Donald Trump becoming president yet. You have almost 2 months before he becomes president. And ultimately, he is already putting, an effect that is the Trump effect. And a lot of people are saying, well, they're still coming, Oscar. I said this on the War Room with Steve Bannon. I said this also with the great Grant Stinchfield. I said it. There's going to be a massive arrival in these last months as people are going to try to make a run for it. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, we don't think so. What is happening right now? You're seeing a massive arrival of people arriving to the north borders trying to make a run for it. Trying to make a run for it and trying to enter illicitly and illegally to the United States of America. Why? And let me just go and just express myself. Why? Oh my God. Cranberry juice is the best. And the one from Costco is the best. The Democrats, the leftists, the Marxist, communists, socialists, liberals, what they have done is trying to normalize illicit and illegal activity to be okay. So what they have done is normalize to the world that entering to a non-port of entry, to entering to the Rio Grande River, jumping a wall in New Mexico, crossing a desert in Arizona, and going into an open border gap in California, it is okay because there's going to be an NGO undoubtedly that is going to wait for you to process you. Not even the Border Patrol process you anymore. They don't. Why? Because the Border Patrol has become the Uber. The Border Patrol is just there to say like, hey, come down, stay there, Juan, Carlos, Ricardo, Francisco, stay there. You're going to come. There's going to be a unit that is going to come for you, and they're going to process you. They go, process them. Then they are released into population. Before, the Border Patrol had the authority to say, stop there, Carlos, Juan, Francisco. You're detained for entering the country illicitly and illegally. That is illegal entry into the United States of America. They don't have that power anymore. Why? Because of the international humanitarian law that is the Global Compact on Migration. So the Democrats have normalized this illicit activity and made our population and Latino Hispanic people think that is okay. That crossing through a river is okay. And now they understanding, oh, that's the process to get to the United States of America. I have to cross through a jungle in Panama and Colombia. Then I have to pay the cartel in Central and South America, possibly get extortion and kidnapped. And then I can just, I made it out of the jungle. I made it out alive because sometimes you get raped and you get abused, but I made it out. Go through extortion and kidnapping in Central and South America. Arrive to the borders of Guatemala and cross and pay the cartel to enter Mexico. Go through hell in Mexico with the immigration process. Walk on a caravan in the middle of coyotes and traffickers. Get all the way to the borders of Mexico and the United States of America. Pay the cartel to cross you through a non-port of entry. Enter the country of the United States of America. Lift your hands, asylum and refugee, be processed, be released, and you made it. That is the way the globalists, the United Nations, the Carl Schwab, the George Soros, all of these people have implemented this normalization conduct on whole Latin America, that is the way to migrate. And because of that normalization of conduct, thousands of people have lost their lives. Thousands have been abused. Thousands have been raped. Thousands have been kidnapped. Thousands have been extortion. Thousands are still kidnapped and trying to make it. Thousands are losing their lives. Thousands of children are lost. It is because of that normalization of conduct. But when you put law and order and you have an example of a consequence, and you have an example not only of a consequence, but you held people accountable for what it is happening, damn, the process is going to change. Now you're going to see people that they're going to say, I'm not crossing through the river. I'm going to get stopped. Then I'm going to get deported. Why am I going to cross through the river? How's the process? I got to go to the port of entry. Man, that takes too long. I'm going to stay in my country. Or I can wait. I can find a job over here, and then I can work and see how can I do it. It is not, I have said this and I quoted this. I have said this and I quoted. It is not the time to be nice. And it's not the time to be kind. It is the time to be tough and to hold people accountable. It is stop being kind. It is not the time to be kind anymore. It is the time to be tough and to hold people accountable. That is the way that you're going to put an example to the world that you are not messing around, that you mess around and you're going to find out. That is the way. You hold people accountable, Alejandro Mayorkas. You put an example that you're not going to be aligned with the United Nations. You get out of the Global Compact on Migration. You start investigating all of these NGOs and start stopping these federal grants to all of these NGOs. That for every Republican that is out there, Mike Johnson has been the one that has been giving out more federal grants to these NGOs more than Nancy Pelosi. Mike Johnson, the actual head of the House of Speakers, it is the one that has been approving more federal grants to these NGOs than nobody else. And stop the pandering that he has been pushed into a corner and he doesn't know what to do. Stop the pandering. He's a man. It's time to be a man and take the decisions to protect the United States of America and the United States integrity and the children, and also to fight the abuse, fight the trafficking, and put an example to the world that you're not messing around, that you're not having this anymore. You need to stop the federal grants to these NGOs. The majority of them, they know where the children are. They know where they were distributed. They know where they were let go. And they know exactly the process of that, how they were let go. And to all these progressive mercenary, mercenary activists, white mercenary activist liberals and Hispanic activist liberals, like these pocho right here. These people that they actually say that they're not racist, right? You look like a nopal or a terrorist to me. A nopal, he's basically calling me a wetback in my own channel, which I don't get pandered like these liberals. They get pandered and they get offended and all this. No, I'm a Mexican. I was born in Mexico and I live in Mexico. To all these pochos, that's what you are. You guys are pochos. Fake Mexicans, like we say it over here. The number one thing that you need to do is to hold people accountable. That's the number one thing that it needs to happen. Number one thing. Stop the federal grants to all these NGOs. Stop distributing all these federal grants to these NGOs. Stop. That's what needs to happen immediately. Stop. These NGOs are making millions of dollars out of your tax money. Mike Johnson needs to, stop these federal grants. That's the number one thing that Trump needs to do as soon as he steps into office. He needs to bring him into his office and say, hey, man, I'm trying to stop this massive arrival of immigrants into the borders. You're not helping me. This is actually, you're actually contradicting what I'm doing. I'm trying to stop giving them money because there's 300 and plus thousand, children missing. So I'm trying to find them. By you giving them millions of dollars, it is not going to help us. it is actually aggravating more the problem and giving them more power. And, you know, and it's a problem because you are under the global compact of migration. And when you are part of the global compact of migration, you have this problem. And the problem is open borders. So the number one thing that needs to happen is get out of this compact and investigate all these NGOs. I put 9 points the other day. 9 points on X. I will read my 9 points for people to understand, and I will read them again. I posted them on X. Posted my 9 points on X. I got 820 people on X. How's everybody doing on X? Give it a like on X. Hit that heart on X, man. Thank you so much. Let me read the 9 points that I said that this needs to happen as soon as Tom Homan, because Tom Homan is going at it with the UN, and I love that. You know, that's the real problem. So urgent, immediately. I will say it again. What needs to be done on day one? Number one, get out of the global compact on migration. Let the United Nations know that they no longer have the power of the United States borders, and stop the massive funding to OIM, that is the International Organization of Migration. Number two, tell the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, to stop the federal grants and stop the funding to all these NGOs in the United States borders with Mexico. Number three, audit and investigate all of these NGOs on what they have been doing with the enormous entrance of unaccompanied minors, people with bad records, and exploitation of women. Number four, investigate all of these NGOs. Where has all the federal grant money gone to, and why they are receiving millions of dollars in tax return? But ultimately investigate the ones that they have and that they are in cahoots with the cartel. Number five, create a task force of investigative journalists, psychologists, agents, experienced agents on the topic of trafficking to audit and investigate all of these non-governmental organizations with international organizations. Number six, when the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, goes and speaks on the pedestal of the United Nations, let them know that their global policies are not aligned with American immigration policies, and that they will not allow this abuse to continue anymore, and that they will be exposed and held accountable. Number seven, prosecute all of these mercenary, progressive, liberal activists who are working with all of these NGOs, lawyers, and fake humanitarians. Investigate all of them, and if they are found guilty, charge them with crimes against humanity. Number eight, prosecute Antonio Gutierrez, diplomat and creator of the Global Compact on Migration of the United Nations, Alejandro Mayorkas, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and every single rhino and progressive left Marxist communist politician who has been part of this human disaster and profiting out of human misery. Number nine, give the power back to the Border Patrol and law enforcement. And I quote it, "It is not the time to be kind anymore. It is time to be tough and to hold people accountable." That is what it needs to be done as soon as the 20th of January. It is time to save lives and to educate our people of how to migrate, not to profit out of human misery and a humanitarian disaster like these NGOs, these international organizations. What have they been doing with all these federal grants? They have been living the lifestyle A lot of these NGOs, they're receiving $5 million on tax return. What the hell is going on with that? When have people that help people in a humanitarian way make millions out of human misery? When has that happened? When? And now you see this. Now you see that the Mexican authorities are trying to do something. Right now, this caravan that just recently left the south border today in the morning of 1,500 individuals. You know, there have been several caravans that I have told you guys this was going to continue. This was going to happen. A massive arrival of immigrants was going to happen into the northern borders. This was eventually and inevitably going to happen. And now that it's happening, Donald Trump has been consistently and emphatic about, I'm going to put a 25%. I'm going to put a 25%. Then all of a sudden, the biggest dialogue between the two biggest countries in the continent, that is Mexico and the United States, which they have the biggest trade, they sat down and have a wonderful dialogue, which Donald Trump said that. We're going to try to educate our people in the United States of the use of fentanyl, but also the Mexican president is going to try to decrease the flow of immigrants into the United States. And this is what has been happening today. There was a huge operation of Institute National Immigration officials, agents of Mexico, trying to decrease the level of immigrants walking irregularly on the highway, putting their life at risk and putting the children at risk as they're continuously walking on caravans. The agents, what they have done is approach them, trying to talk to them and ask them, do you have a regular document for your stay in Mexico for we can let you go? And a lot of the immigrants, the majority of them, they don't have it. So if they do not have it, you will understand that they cannot have the pathway to walk freely in the country. They cannot do that. So now if they do not have that regular document, what is going to happen? Let's see if the bottleneck and down south of the border of Mexico, it is going to get bigger. Let's see what effect it is going to have, because let me just tell you, information that is coming right now from Panama, it is that the level of crossings through the Darian Gap has decreased from 43 to 47%. Listen to this. 43 to 47%. It has decreased the entrance from the mass migration through the Darian Gap. Ben Berquam, my brother Ben Berquam, and myself, on the third journey that we did out of 4 times that we have been in the Darien, the third one was where it was massive. You had 5 to 7 to 10,000 people every single day on that migrant camp, and an estimated of 2,000 people coming in daily from the jungle. The statistics on 2023 and the limitations between Costa Rica and Panama were saying that around 20,000 migrants, they were transitioning from Panama to Costa Rica weekly. Imagine the numbers. It was crazy. And now they say that it has decreased from 43 to 47%, the entrance of migrants through the jungle, which means the Trump effect, it is not only saving lives in the Darien, and not only saving lives in that particular place, but also it is hitting them in the pockets to the cartel in Colombia, to the organized crime, which it was profiting out of migrants that they were migrating from Asia, from China, charging them $30,000 to $35,000 to cross them through the Darien on this tourist package to get them all the way to the north borders that connect to the United States of America. The average typical trafficker in Coyote making $1,000 per week just by carrying backpacks inside of the Darien. The average guide that it was going inside of the Darien, making around $1,500 to $2,000 a week. The average criminal that it was operating inside of the Darien, raping, abusing, stealing, robbing, everything that you cannot even imagine. It is possibly not doing it anymore because there's no flow of immigrants crossing the Darian Gap as it was before. What does this mean? That if it has decreased 43 to 47%, the transit of immigrants through the Darian Gap, holy cow, I cannot even, man, that is a lot. That is almost close to half. And that is huge. And that is not even with Donald Trump becoming president yet. So the migrants, they already know that if the transit for them to get to South America all the way to the north is going to take them a long time, they have prefer to migrate to the south. This is why you're having a mass migration of people from Venezuela going to Brazil, to Pacaraima, Brazil. That statistics from authorities in Pacaraima, Brazil, have said that around 15,000 immigrants, they are arriving every 10 to 15 days in the south border in Brazil, which means that the Trump effect, it is hitting every single country and every single border. Strategy of the tariff. Does it work? It is not even implemented. But does it work? He's not even in office yet. But does it work? He hasn't even said anything yet. But does it work? You're seeing it with your own two eyes. The threat of a tariff, it is extremely effective without using guns, without threatening lives, without abusing power, without like saying I'm going to go in with the military like Dan Crenshaw. Using a brain instead of a gun. That has been the best strategy of Donald Trump. Using the brain instead of a gun. You hit them in the pockets. I have said this multiple times. I said it in multiple broadcasts. I have said it in front of big platforms, Epoch Times, big people. How do you fix this problem, Oscar? You hit them where it hurts. It is the pockets. That is where you hit them. You don't talk to them and try to negotiate. You hit them where it hurts. Some of these dirty politicians, they know that if they implement this threat of a tariff, all of their career will be over. And they don't want that. They want to continue in politics and sucking the teeth out of human misery in our country of Mexico. So what they're going to do is say like, hey, fix the problem. You're going to take away my job. I'm not going to make any money anymore. It's going to be done. Everything is going to go. It is a domino effect. You aggressively, push this threat of a tariff into the manufacturing companies. The manufacturing companies are going to try to push the president and say, hey, man, you're going to piss off the middle class guy. You don't want that. You don't want that to happen, right? It's like, no, I don't want that. We're doing good in economy. The poverty level is getting up there. We don't want that. I suggest that you fix the problem at the border. Our neighbor is complaining about it. And I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm trying to export and import, and we're having a great relation with this, exporting and importing relationship that we're making millions of dollars, and we are providing jobs, and we're doing all of this and that. I suggest that, you have a good relationship with them. Trickle effect. Hit the businessman, talk to the big guy, big guy put security. That what happened in the past administration with Donald Trump. He put a threat of a tariff of only 5%, not 10, not 20, not 50, only 5. And it got fixed. Now you have 25. And look what is happening. It is actually trying to get this fixed. With this. AMLO cost a lot of this being in bed with the cartels and Biden administration. Well, where's the market? Who's the number one buyer? You have to have access to the buyer, right? Where's the market? If you can answer me that question, we will have the solution on how we go by a pyramid, who's up and who's down. So where's the market? You have to kill the manufacturing of fentanyl. Who's the mule? Mexico. Who's carrying all the synthetics and crossing them in the country of Mexico? The cartels. So you have to be an interceptor right there in that middle part. The middle guy, it has to be taken out. And that's where you put law and order. And that will inevitably dysfunction the system. You destabilize their system and they're done. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. We're going on 57 minutes going into this live chat. Buy me a coffee. It is right there, pinned in the chat. I'm going to be traveling soon. Man, I'm sitting down on this. Oh, my God. Sitting down on this chair, and it's extremely uncomfortable. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you. I will answer a couple of questions. We're going on 58 minutes going in. I will only answer a couple of questions. I'm doing these X spaces. The other day I did an X space and it went too long. I don't like to go that long. I did an X space on Spanish and it went really well. So I'm about to do another one later on the week to basically talk about these topics in X. But I will answer a couple of questions. If you guys have a question, go ahead. I'm right here. And I will answer you guys immediately as I am trying to how long does Mexican president serve? 6 years. That's a question right here. I'm gonna put the question on. I don't have my mouse right now working, so I'm gonna put the question. 6 years. 6 years. Questions? We got 2,151 people watching. Oscar, what do you think about the Department of Education? Is our kids going to be able to go to school, college, university? I don't know about the Department of Education in your country. The only thing that I know is that they need to get rid of all these Marxist, communist, socialist teachers, that they are teaching gender inclusion and all this stupidity language and not teaching them how to be entrepreneurs and leaders of the world. That and values of God. That's what it needs to be taught in school. We have a lot of rehab centers, and there's an addiction problem, but not as big as the United States of America. So is Mexican president not keeping Caravan in Mexico? It's not that it's keeping the Caravan, it is decreasing the Caravan. Buy me a coffee. It is pinned on the chat. It is a link right there. You can push the link and it will take you to where you can contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund. You can buy a coffee for $5 or, more than you want to buy. If you want to buy 10,000 coffees, I will accept that. Why don't they want to speak English in the United States? Well, possibly because they don't know how to speak English, but they will People learn how to speak English. This is like a lot of people when they come into my live feeds and they say, "Hey, Oscar, speak English. Why don't you learn how to speak Spanish?" English is my second language. It is not my first language, and I stumble a lot. But I try to do my best, brother. Hi, Oscar. Question: I'm an American who bought property fideicomiso, okay, and live here in Mexico full time. What, if any, concerns do you think we should have with new president who is worrisome? It's okay. You will be exactly the same. You haven't had problems before, right? You will be okay. What impact is any Claudia Steinbach? I don't know who Claudia Steinbach is, but if you're talking about Claudia Sheinbaum, that is the Mexican president, having on Mexico's economy and their economical development, resolving Mexico's insecurity issues. She just came in as president. Talking about economically, I don't think that we can have an estimate of she's doing good or not. In terms to security, I don't see that she's doing good. So we need help. And we have said it multiple times. We need help. The Mexican government needs to stop letting them cross, and Venezuela needs to take their criminals back and gang members. The United States administration needs to stop signing the Global Compact on migration and incentivizing people that they can come into non-ports of entry. We work together, we fix our problems together, and we resolve the situation together. Instead of pointing the finger, we unite and we fix this problem. What will the cartels do to the Mexican people due to the president of Mexico cooperation with Trump to stop it? They will not do anything. This is a fight between them. It is not between the people. Thank God Trump will soon be back in charge. I have some hope. Oscar, keep up the amazing work informing us. God bless you. Okay, NGOs with our money are chauffeuring the cartel, right? And these Mexican caravans, well, chauffeando the cartel, right? And these Mexican caravans, the NGOs are receiving your federal grant tax-paying money. Yes, that's what they're living out of, and also profiting out of human misery. So yes. I am not an immigration official or a lawyer. I'm a journalist, so I don't know about this kind of situations that you're telling me. I've been told that Mexico cannot prohibit a Mexican from leaving the country. Yes, that's no. A Mexican can be prohibited from leaving the country. They can leave. Yes. Is this true? You can't leave the USA without a passport. Why would you be able to leave Mexico without a passport? I don't understand. Let me just read it again. I've been told that Mexico cannot prohibit a Mexican from leaving the country. Yes, they cannot. You can't leave the USA without a passport. Why would you be able to leave Mexico without a passport? What makes you think that we can leave our country without a passport? For me to go and work at Israel, I have to take my passport. For me to enter Poland, to enter Ukraine, I had to take my passport. For me to hop on a plane in Mexico, I have to get my governmental ID that is called INE or my passport. For me to go into Panama, I have to use my passport. For me to go to Colombia, I have to use my passport. For me to buy something in Colombia or Panama or Costa Rica, they ask you for your passport because you're a foreigner. So you have to give them your number of a passport. We need a passport to leave our country. We cannot leave without a passport. Okay, I will read you again. I mean, a Mexican passport, I don't believe you can leave without a passport. Yes, we cannot. But someone was trying to argue with me that Sheinbaum cannot do anything about Mexicans crossing the border. You have to do things legally and documented. That's an inevitable thing. Do things right. You can leave the U.S. without a passport. You can use driver's license between USA and Canada and Mexico. No. In Mexico, they're actually asking and requiring U.S. citizens to have their passport. They're actually doing that. What is the problem with it? If the United States is asking for us 70 million requirements to go in, I don't know why it should be a problem if the Mexican authorities are asking for you to get your passport. I don't see the problem. For us to have a tourist visa, sometimes we have to wait 12 to 13 months to get an appointment. And when you see the appointment, when you go and see the immigration judge can deny your tourist visa or can accept your tourist visa. For someone to wait for a resident card is between 6 to 9 years. So I don't see why it will be a problem if Mexican authorities will ask you for your passport. There's no problem with it. I think you don't need a passport to go into Mexico. Yes, you need it now. Coming back, you need your passport. No, they're asking for your passport as you exit to Mexico. Yes, they are. If you get lucky and they don't ask for it, you're lucky. But it is like when you're crossing the U.S. and you're in a vehicle line, right? And then you just do this. Back in the day, you used to show your ID and go ahead. Go ahead. The U.S. Customs used to say, go ahead. Hey, they did not even check my passport, man. They did not even check my resident card. They did not even swipe my card, man. What the hell? What's going on? If you're lucky, man. If you're not, can I see your passport? Why your passport? It is not due. What happened to your passport? There's no one checking on the Mexican side. Yes, they are. Again, I just said it. If you're lucky, you're lucky. If you're not, you're not. What the hell's wrong with me? Last question. Oscar, does the Mexican military have enough people and firepower to take down the cartels? Hijo de la jodida. Hard question. We have the power. Do we have the authority to do so? That's the other question. Do we have the power? Yes, we do. Absolutely, we do. Absolutely. Do we have the authority to do so? That's the real question. That's the question. Because do we have the power? Yes. But do they have the authority to do that? Are they authorized to take them down? It's that's the question. God bless you, every single one of you guys. An hour and 9 minutes. I think I already extended. People are assuming they're going, oh, so the cartel controls Mexico. No. A lot of people are assuming there are things because of the way that I'm actually asking the question. You take your questions into your own matter. Find your own solutions, and give yourself your own thoughts. God bless you guys. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission.